Dotmocracy, the results take the form of two extremely important reports that arise from the data gathered during the workshop. The reports are extremely important since they provide stakeholders who are unable to attend the workshop with an opportunity to review the material and offer any further suggestions, ideas, and opinions. The results are really in the form of two documents: the workshop report and the workshop health report that I will run through on this particular video. You can see in front of you the sample of the workshop report that starts with an explanation of the sessions and how many people took part, the process that was used, the questions that were used to gather the data from all of the participants, how priorities were identified using 5 colored dots, and the importance of having an open-ended process and being able to take the raw data summaries and to develop a report with collective themes that are clustered around the various suggestions and opinions and votes that were identified. You'll also see here the themes that were able to be developed from this particular session. The first one is leadership. The second one, school, environment, and climate. Policy, procedure, operation, organization. Program, curriculum, instruction, staffing, professional development, parents and community, discipline, and finance. So these were able to be developed from the data that was collected, and it now puts it in perspective in terms of identifying areas that need to be addressed first and areas that can be held off until perhaps a future opportunity. The suggested use of the data is also identified, and that's where we suggest a health report that really is a way of identifying, using the data, the health of the unit or the business or the school or the community group that took part in the session, and of course our conclusion as well. You'll see here the raw data. For example, under stop, you can see all of the items that were listed on the flip chart paper on the right and the number of votes or dots that each of these received. So you can see they're identified by the top ones first and then going down the row until there were no votes offered for several of these. You'll also see the start, and this is with the staff. You can see the same thing. You can see the continue, the same thing. You also see the parent summary, and you can see a very different set of suggestions as you would expect. And that's why your group should be done separately. And the number of votes that are offered. There's the parent stop. There's the parent start. And here is the parent continue. As I mentioned earlier, the second document and report that's important is the health report. And here you see an example of that. It basically outlines stop, start, and continue votes and items or suggestions can be translated into graphs. And here you see a kind of an ideal set of responses. You then see the overall data and how it breaks down in terms of the percentage of stops, the percentage of starts, and the continues. And then, of course, you can break it out according to what the staff said, what the parents said, and here's how you do it. You obviously compile the stops, number of votes, the starts, the continues, the totals, and do a percentage mathematically in order to arrive at the appropriate place for the health report. And here it is again, along with the full report written. A report can be shared in its entirety with anyone who could not take part in the session for whatever reason and offer some feedback. Finally, it's important to understand that these documents were developed with a significant input from stakeholders and employees. It certainly can be used to evaluate the progress of a current strategic plan of an organization in terms of whether the objectives of that plan are being accomplished and to what degree. In other words, do they match up with the information gleaned from the workshop data? The report can also be used to start a strategic plan for an organization. So the fact that the data was gathered from employees and stakeholders not only establishes credibility, but most importantly, the commitment and involvement of those people who will be affected by the plan. Any committee set up to evaluate a current strategic plan or to start a new plan should anticipate significant participation from employees or stakeholders, since the assessment of progress or new objectives and directions are based on the information given by those people. So they should want to be part of developing a plan for future success of the organization. The focus reports themselves can be distributed to authorizers, as in the case of some charter schools I work with that seek approval and renewals, or to donors who provide financial assistance to educational units, businesses, or community organization to demonstrate a commitment to an all-inclusive long-range planning initiative, or to agencies that provide grants to support applications for consideration in terms of providing a plan that was developed with major stakeholder and employee input and support. The focus reports can be used to recruit employees, faculty, staff, and board members, since it demonstrates a clear commitment to long-range planning by the entire organization. This completes the series highlighted as Dotmocracy and its role in involving stakeholders in a meaningful way in identifying issues and challenges and participating towards planning for solutions. Should you have any comments or require additional information, contact me at barryroland4@gmail.com. I'll say that again, barryroland4@gmail.com.